Hello, I'm Steve Good, and this is another video in the video series of creating scroll saw patterns with Corel Draw. You can find these patterns at www.scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com. Today, what I want to talk about is creating word art patterns in Corel Draw, and these can include anything from name plaques to whimsical sayings to possibly the name of your city or the name of a school, anything that you would like to scroll and give away or sell at craft shows. Okay, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is put some text on the screen. In this case, I'm going to go with somewhat of a whimsical saying. Maybe you could give this as a gag gift. And what I'm going to type in is the boss. Now obviously this one's going to be for your wife. Okay, select the text once you have it on the screen and choose a font. Now in my case I'm going to use a font that I have on my system called Cooper Black as soon as I can find it here, because I know it makes a pretty good font for scrolling. I'm going to go ahead and set the size to 150, and I'm going to center this up on the screen by pressing the P key on the keyboard. Now, once you get the text on the screen, this could be a pattern already. You could take with your square tool, create a base for it, round the corners, select it, and weld it together, and you'd be good to go. But that's not exactly what I'm looking for today. I'm going to do it a little bit different. Even though this is one technique that would work, it's very fast, and you can do some nice designs with this. That's not what I'm going to do today. So let me back out of that and show you what I plan to do. Double click on this text to get it selected. Right click and click the Format Text selection. When your Format Text dialog comes up, you'll see a setting down here titled Range Kerning. I'm going to go ahead and set this down to -45, and what I'm doing there is I'm actually reducing the space between the letters, and I just happen to know that 45 is usually a pretty good value to start with. Now if you have a little more screen real estate than I do here for the recording purposes, you can actually see this kerning taking place as you're adjusting this value. Click OK, and what you will see is that the letters have now scrunched up together closer to what I like to cut my patterns out with. The next thing you have to do is go to Arrange and break Artistic Text apart, and what that did is it created a separate piece. Each letter is a separate piece now. So if I go ahead and select this all right now and go to right click on this thing, you can do Convert to Curves, and I'll show you why we're going through this process here in just a second. Click Convert to Curves. Now if I left click on this, I can change the color to gray, and if I right click on this, I can get my black outline. Now the reason we're going through these extra steps is I like to have patterns that have one single outline around the perimeter of the pattern. Now what we have right now, as you can see, is we have these lines are actually overlapping and what I call hidden lines, and I want to get rid of those. So after you converted it to curves and have this selected, you will now see up here that you have your weld tool available to use. Go ahead and click the weld tool, and that'll give us a pattern that is freestanding and ready to cut with nice outlines. Okay, we can take this one step farther. I'm going to go ahead and increase the size of it just a little bit, and that's the other thing. You can make it any size you want, and I generally cut these out of pine. I will go to the store and buy a 6 or 8 foot 3-inch wide piece of clear pine. Generally pay about $5 for it, and I can cut probably 10 of these names out of each board. And you can easily sell these name patterns at craft shows for $5 to $7 with no problem. Okay, so we have the name, and the next step I'd like to go through to show you how to create a little more whimsy in this pattern is to go over here to a tool called Interactive Envelope Tool. Click on that tool. What that does is it puts a bounding box around the word or the name and gives us the ability to adjust the size and shape from different angles. In other words, we can contort this a little bit. So for instance, I can grab this point right here, left click on this point, drag it up, and now we've actually stretched and exaggerated the T in that text. And we can do the same thing over here. We can move it this way, we can move it up. I mean, we can basically do anything we want now with this pattern. Generally, you want to keep the bottom straight so the pattern will still set flush, but you can play with the top here, make some interesting changes, and get it looking the way you want it to look, and then you can have a nice whimsical pattern to print out. And this little bit of whimsy added to the patterns can fairly significantly increase your ability to sell this pattern. So that's the process I go through to create name patterns. When I create these whimsy patterns, I usually go ahead and distort the pattern a little bit to give it just a little bit more whimsical look. Okay, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.